Good evening, everybody. When I first saw that I was going to be asked to present 5 minutes on Matthew 18 through 21, I felt that I was daunted and that there was no way that anybody could do that. So what I set out to do was to find what the different things that Jesus is talking about, different people, different situations, and so forth. What do they all have in common? What is the primary message? What is Jesus telling us about who we are and who we need to be in order to be in God's favor? And I think it all comes down to willingness to love one another and willingness to follow the commands of Jesus. Remember when Jesus said, if you love me, then follow my commands. In other words, willingness. So Jesus talks about a number of different people, or types of people: children, eunuchs, rich people, poor people. So let's pick this apart a little bit. Children. If children are out playing and another child comes by that they've never seen before in their lives, so they say, no, you're an illegal alien. No, you don't look like me. No, you have a handicap. So we don't want to play with you. No, they love each other. They will accept whoever comes along and find some way to play with them and engage with them. And, it doesn't always end well, but the intention and the willingness to get along and love each other is always there in children. That's a beautiful thing. All right. There's the whole thing about divorce and the Mosaic covenant and so forth regarding divorce. And God sets you up with a partner, and you are to love that partner and to work things out. And God has given you that playing field to work things out in the direction of love. And then you're just going to say, no, God, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't like this person anymore. I don't want to play with them anymore. And yet there were a lot of Jews that were hard-hearted, Jesus said to the Pharisees. So God was willing to come, to make concession, to give them a purchase on a first step on the rung of a ladder, so that they can climb up from there. It's not that God all of a sudden changed his mind about divorce. He's like, okay, well, how am I going to work with these Jewish people who are hard-hearted? And the Lord used the term stiff-necked. Basically stubborn, which is the opposite of willingness. So how do I bring about willingness in these people? So he was willing to himself, God was willing to make arrangements for them in such a way so that it would keep the purity of what he was trying to do, but make it more accessible. So again, that has to do with willingness. And then the eunuchs, some people are that way because of choice. Some people are that way because of physical handicap. Some people are that way for whatever reason, but it's a matter of choice, or of lifestyle, let's say. Now, as long as the lifestyle is not a sinful lifestyle, then God is willing to work with them, as long as they are willing to adhere to him and follow his commandments and so forth in whatever lifestyle that they want to live in. Then you have the last shall be first and the first shall be last. I would have been one of the ones, I'm not trying to say anything. By doing these videos, I'm not saying I'm smarter than anybody, but I'm telling you that I would have been one of the ones that said, hey, how come you're giving them a denarius and they only worked 1 hour and I worked 10 hours? And I'm sure that I would have been not so happy about that. But, it comes down to what C.S. Lewis said about humility not being thinking less of yourself. It's thinking of yourself less. There you go. I got that one. So these people were saying, well, look at it this way. Those guys that were out there wanting to be hired, they were out there the whole day faithfully waiting for somebody to come and hire them. Okay. So they may not have worked for that individual in his fields and so forth the same amount of hours, but they were out there the same amount of hours wanting to be hired, and they were demonstrating willingness to have faith that somebody would come along and give them a job. And then that's a matter of, the last shall be first and the first shall be last. And the pride comes before a fall, but the person who has humility, how many places in the Bible does it talk about that? There's, don't walk into the room and take the best chair and the best place. Take something lesser than that, and then you'll be elevated by your fellows who see that you were humble and that you weren't trying to put yourself ahead of them. So we're basically seeing here is, and then it talks about giving to the poor, and the rich man who could not, who followed all the commandments since the day he was born, he said something like that, but now he can't give up all of his holdings and all of what makes him a rich man. And Jesus rebukes that because he didn't have the willingness to do what was needed when it was asked of him by God, and fell out of God's favor. So this is the best way that I can take all of those different situations, all of those things that Jesus said that are so beautiful and so wise and so thought-provoking, and say, what do all of these different things have in common? And what does this mean for my life and my relationship with God? It's willingness. Think about it. Read it yourself, Matthew 19 through 21, and see if I'm right or wrong, and have a conversation with me on Sunday morning. I'd love to do that with you. I'm blessed to be a part of this congregation and to have such a faithful and Bible-centered prayer team and pastor, and I'm so excited to be a part of it, and I look forward to seeing you guys Wednesday and Sunday, God willing. Peace be with you.